A hospital discharge order, a recent fall, or a sudden change in health. This is usually how the home care journey begins, not with months of careful planning, but with a sudden, urgent deadline. In that moment, your family's priority is singular: bring them home. You want to keep your loved ones safe in their own familiar environment, avoiding institutionalization at all costs. But between the hospital exit and the front door, you hit a wall of logistics. Securing a qualified caregiver is only half the battle. The real friction is figuring out the financial machinery required to actually place them in the home. The very first choice you have to make is how to pay for it, because the funding mechanism you choose dictates the timeline, the care plan, and who shows up to help. Serious tone. Misunderstanding these options during a crisis can lead to two painful outcomes: rapidly draining your family's savings, or suffering through a dangerous gap in care while waiting for paperwork to clear. When it comes to funding in-home care, families generally rely on one of two vehicles: state-funded Medicaid or out-of-pocket private pay. The difference between the two is not about the quality or compassion of the caregiver. Agencies deploy their highly trained staff to both types of clients. The difference lies entirely in timeline and control. To see exactly how these paths diverge, we need to map them out across the core constraints every family faces. We will evaluate Medicaid and private pay across 4 specific vectors: financial impact, speed to deployment, service scope, and caregiver control. There is no universal correct answer here. The right choice depends entirely on the urgency of the patient's medical needs, weighed against the elasticity of the family's wallet. Let's look at the financial impact. Medicaid's primary advantage is absolute. If you qualify, it covers the cost of professional home care with zero out-of-pocket expense to the family. It also offers a unique structural benefit through programs like Community First Choice. A family member can actually be formally recognized, trained, and paid by the state to act as the primary caregiver. The trade-off for that financial relief is intense bureaucratic scrutiny. Families must navigate strict state income limits, comprehensive asset checks, and exhaustive financial disclosures. Private pay operates on the opposite end of the spectrum. You bypass state disclosures and government oversight entirely, but your family assumes the full, uncapped financial burden. This graph illustrates the long-term reality of that burden. While the Medicaid timeline stays flat at zero cost, paying out of pocket for 24/7 or live-in care creates a sharp upward curve, rapidly depleting hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings over a 5-year period. Medicaid protects long-term generational wealth in exchange for deep administrative oversight. Private pay requires immense liquidity to buy your way out of that system. Financial impact is only half the equation. We have to look at the urgency factor. What happens when your loved one needs help today, not next month? This is Medicaid's greatest vulnerability. The intake process is notoriously slow, often bogged down by medical authorizations, state assessments, and complex application queues. Families trying to navigate this alone face a serious risk. A single missing form or paperwork error can reset the entire clock, delaying care by weeks and causing a lapse in vital benefits. Private pay is built specifically to bypass this exact bottleneck. Its greatest structural advantage is speed. Care can typically begin within 24 to 48 hours of your initial phone call. No pre-authorizations, no waiting periods. If time is your enemy, especially during a sudden hospital discharge where a patient cannot safely be left alone, private pay is often the only viable emergency response. That brings us to our final 2 vectors: the scope of the services provided and how much say you have in who actually crosses your threshold. Medicaid care plans are strictly regulated. The state dictates the number of approved hours based on their assessment, and you must operate within those predefined caps. You also have limited input on the specific caregiver. Agencies will send a highly qualified, certified professional, but it is generally based on who is available in the schedule, rather than an interview process. Private pay removes all predefined limits. Families have absolute authority to dictate the schedule, whether that means a few hours a week, overnight monitoring, or 24/7 live-in care that insurance policies rarely cover. You also gain full hiring control. You can interview multiple candidates to ensure their personality, skills, and even cultural background match your family's preferences before they ever enter the home. Medicaid guarantees a baseline of safe, essential care. Private pay guarantees complete customization and the preservation of a specific lifestyle. To apply this to your own situation, you need to identify your primary constraint. If your need is immediate, requiring support in under 48 hours, or you need highly specific, uncapped hours that insurance won't authorize, you belong on the private pay route. If your family is managing a chronic, long-term decline, meets the state income thresholds, or wants to legally compensate a family member for providing care, you belong on the Medicaid route. Making the right choice isn't about finding an objectively superior program. It is about diagnosing your family's most urgent bottleneck and applying the right tool to solve it. But what happens if you face both constraints at once? Many families need a caregiver in the home immediately, but absolutely cannot afford out-of-pocket costs for the long haul. For this scenario, expert care agencies use a specific approach called the hybrid bridge strategy. In Phase 1, families utilize private pay for the first 30 to 60 days. This secures a rapid emergency placement and entirely bypasses the state waitlists. This chart shows how Phase 2 runs simultaneously. While private pay covers those initial weeks, the family works closely with agency experts to execute the Medicaid application in the background. The result is a seamless transition. On day 61, the funding source flips from out-of-pocket to state-funded, and the patient never experiences a single day without care. Ultimately, peace of mind comes from knowing how to use your options. You use private pay capital to buy immediate safety, and you use Medicaid strategy to secure your family's long-term sustainability.